Every time you type twitch.tv or redbull.tv, you're using a digital asset that belongs to Tuvalu. This tiny sinking island owns the two most valuable letters on the internet, .tv, and those two letters are currently generating millions of dollars in royalties. It's the only thing keeping this country alive. Without the internet, Tuvalu would be bankrupt. But even with the money, they're running out of time because the ocean is rising faster than their bank account. So, the government has come up with a radical plan. If the water swallows the land, they'll upload the entire country to the Metaverse. Tuvalu, the digital nation. To understand this miracle, you first have to understand the tragedy. Tuvalu is the fourth smallest country on Earth, but small doesn't even begin to describe it. The entire landmass is only 26 square kilometers. That's smaller than the footprint of a single international airport like Heathrow or JFK. In some places, the roads are so narrow that if you trip and fall, you might land in the ocean on the other side. For decades, Tuvalu was a ghost on the global stage. They had no gold, no oil, no industry. Their economy relied on subsistence fishing and selling dried coconuts. They were so isolated that until the late 1990s, they didn't even have a consistent telephone link to the outside world. They were a nation of 11,000 people, trapped on a sinking rock, with zero money to save themselves. They wanted to join the United Nations to beg for help with climate change, but there was a problem. The UN has an entrance fee, and Tuvalu literally couldn't afford the ticket. But then, in 1995, the internet gods smiled upon them when the top-level domains were assigned to every country. The US got .us, France got .fr, and by a sheer cosmic accident, Tuvalu was assigned .tv. At the time, the fishermen of Tuvalu didn't know what a domain was, but in Silicon Valley, investors were drooling. TV was the most recognised abbreviation in the modern world. Television, entertainment, video. Owning the rights to sell websites ending in .tv was like owning digital real estate in Manhattan. In 1998, an entrepreneur flew to the island. He told the government, "You're sitting on a gold mine. Let me sell these domains for you." The government, desperate for cash, signed a deal. They licensed the .tv suffix to a US company in exchange for $50 million over 12 years. To a tech giant like Google, 50 million is a rounding error. For Tuvalu, it increased their GDP by 50% overnight. It was money that fell from the sky. They used it to pave the roads. They brought electricity to the outer atoll. They built school. And finally, in the year 2000, they paid the fee. Tuvalu became the 189th member of the United Nations. Think about the irony of that. The internet didn't just buy them asphalt and generators. It bought them sovereignty. It bought them a voice. But, as there always is, there's a dark side to this story. While $50 million felt like a fortune to the islanders, in the tech world, they were being ripped off. Tuvalu had been lowballed. The rights to the domain were eventually acquired by VeriSign, a massive American infrastructure giant. VeriSign now collects the registration fees for every Twitch streamer, every esports site, and every media startup using a .tv domain. While the exact numbers are secret, experts estimate that Tuvalu only sees a fraction of the true value of their asset. They currently receive about $5 to $10 million a year in royalties. That's roughly 10% of their entire government budget. It's enough to keep the lights on. But is it fair? Essentially, a US corporation is renting the digital identity of a sovereign nation, making a fortune and paying them a landlord's fee. But Tuvalu has no choice. They need every single dollar. because the ocean is coming. The money from .tv built the roads, but it can't stop the water from covering them. Tuvalu is the canary in the coal mine for climate change. The highest point in the country is only 4.6 meters above sea level. During king tides, the ocean doesn't just crash over the seawalls, it bubbles up through the ground. The island is made of coral rock, which is porous like a sponge. You can't just build a wall to stop the water, because it comes from underneath your feet, literally. Salt water is poisoning their crops. They rely on rainwater tanks because the groundwater is undrinkable. Scientists agree, by the year 2050, the capital city will likely be uninhabitable. By the year 2100, the land might be gone completely. This creates a terrifying legal paradox. International law says a state needs 4 things: a population, a government, relations with other states, and a defined territory. If the territory sinks, does the country stop existing? This isn't just philosophy, it's a billion-dollar question. Tuvalu owns a massive circle of ocean around its islands, its exclusive economic zone. This water is full of tuna. Fishing licenses here are worth millions. If the island disappears, the zone disappears, the tuna becomes international property. Tuvalu loses everything. So, Tuvalu is doing something radical. If they cannot save the physical land, they will save the idea of the land. In 2021, the foreign minister gave a speech standing knee-deep in the ocean to show the world the reality. He announced the Future Now project. Tuvalu is 3D scanning every inch of their island, every beach, every church, every coral reef. They're uploading the entire nation to the Metaverse. They're building a digital twin. The plan is that even if the physical island is underwater, the digital state of Tuvalu will continue to exist online. They're fighting a legal battle right now to change the definition of a country. They want the United Nations to recognise a permanent digital state. They want to keep their vote. They want to keep their passports. And yes, they want to keep their tuna rights. Imagine a future where a Tuvaluan citizen lives in Australia. They put on their VR headset to visit their grandfather's house. A house that, in the real world, is 10 meters underwater. They vote in digital elections. They pay taxes with digital currency. They are citizens of a ghost nation. Tuvalu used the internet to save their economy in the mid-90s with .tv. They're now betting that the internet can save their very existence. It's a tragedy, but it's also a glimpse into our future. As the world changes, Tuvalu forces us to ask, what makes a country? Is it the dirt beneath our feet? Or is it the data we store in the cloud? If your country moved to the Metaverse, would you follow it? Let me know in the comments. This is Oversight. We'll see you in the next one.